Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is February 28th, 2025, and Barcelona have announced the restructuring of Barca Vision. Also, Deco wants Andrei Ratiu for the right back position. And finally, Neymar is once again being linked with a possible return to Barcelona. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and this is the Barca News Live podcast, which is on every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where not only do we discuss Barcelona news, but where I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments, answering your questions, and getting that discussion going. For those of you who will be watching when the podcast ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through all the discussion and get straight into the news. Having said all of that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. If you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure to Goal Kids, Kickback, or Fanatics. If you are looking to place any sports bets, make sure to bet us. All links are down below in the description. You click on them, you get access to some pretty cool deals and offers. All right, let's begin with the news. And the first bit of news this time is not actually several segments. It's just a normal segment of news. But the first segment of news, it has to do with Barca Vision, which is the section of Barcelona, the arm of Barcelona, the business, one of the businesses of Barcelona that has to do with audio-visual businesses that Barcelona developed. It used to be called Barca Studios. It was then changed to Barca Vision. Of course, Barcelona got the approval from the socios to sell 49% of Barca Vision in order to not only generate that money from the economic levers to get the club out of the financial hole that they were in, but also to develop this sector of Barcelona, this audiovisual sector of Barcelona. Of course, it has been an absolute failure. It was sold by bits and pieces to different investors, a little bit to socios.com, another little bit to Orpheus Media, then another little bit to the German investment fund Libero, which ended up not paying for anything. So a portion of the portion that was sold to Libero was then sold to Automark. It's been an absolute mess. Nothing has been done with this sector, with Barca Vision. It's generating no money. And while Barcelona have decided to restructure it, because it's reported that even within the club, the board of directors have admitted that Barca Vision has been an absolute failure. So as a result of this, Barcelona have decided to restructure it, and they have announced this through a statement of the club they have shared on their website and their social media accounts, which reads as follows. Let's see. Let me try to make this bigger so you guys can read along. But this is the official statement from the club announcing the restructuring of Barca Vision, saying FC Barcelona informs that it has started the merger administrative process with FC Barcelona Companies Registry for the subsidiary Bridgeburg Invest SL, or Barca Vision. That's the official name of Barca Vision, Bridgeburg Invest SL, to be absorbed into the parent company that manages the club's digital and audiovisual assets, Barca Productions, or Barca Media. With this merger, the club aims to simplify the structure of its digital and audiovisual business by bringing it all under the same corporate umbrella, and in order to be able to use all available assets to drive shared initiative in the digital sector. This procedure will see Barca Media absorb the Bridgeburg corporate structure, including its business, metaverse, Web3, NFT, fan tokens, etc. The payment schedule and the employees, with the latter joining the new structure that already includes Barca Studios, Barca Games, and esports. This merger process registration with the registry signals the start of the consultation period of the stakeholders over the coming month, and that will end during the Bridgeport General Shareholder Assembly, where the operation will be approved. Now, these are the investors that Barca Vision was sold to. FC Barcelona's current partners in Bridgeburg are Blaugrana Invest, Vestigia, Helgas, Orpheus, and finally, Aramark. This action will see the club add to its list of available business assets and focus on developing the new emerging businesses in line with general trends, based on the desire to be alongside Culés fans during every facet of Barca experience. Regarding how this affects the club's financial accounts, the club had already provided for the unpaid Bridgeburg investor payments in the consolidated annual accounts from 2023-2024 season, approved during ordinary general assembly on October 19th, 2024. The 49% sale of Barca Productions was approved during the ordinary general assembly held on in October 2021, with 88% voted in favor, and the Bridgeburg Invest operation was ratified during the ordinary general assembly in October of 2022. Since then, the club has worked on transforming the audiovisual business model with the launch of the OTT Barca One, a new gaming strategy based on different sports teams and the Barca Games platform, and the growth of the digital business based on new Web3 technologies such as the NFTs project, in a way, Immortal 2022 and Empowerment 2023, and the FC Barcelona Fan Tokens project in collaboration with the platform socios.com. So there you have it, folks. Barcelona announcing that, well, they are restructuring the whole audiovisual business. How? Pretty much by having the parent company, which is Barca Media, absorb Barca Vision, which again has been an absolute failure. It's been sold by bits and parts to so many different investors. Nothing has come out of it. This business has just sat there stagnant, hasn't grown, hasn't developed anything, and more importantly, hasn't really generated any profits. Now, I think there's two ways to explain why this Barca Vision business has failed. Number one, either it's been completely mishandled, which it has, and that's why it has failed. Because if you want to develop a new business sector, you partner up with people who are experienced in that sector. And what do I mean by that? FC Barcelona is a football club. What we know how to do is football. We know how to build teams, manage teams, sign players, sell players, whatever. Everything that has to do with football, that's what Barcelona know how to do. They have 125 years of experience in managing football teams. Media business, that's something we don't know how to do. So how do you develop a new business that you're not aware of? You partner up with people who do know. So you partner up with other media partners who know how to develop a media business because that's their expertise. But what has Barcelona done after Libero pulled out because they didn't pay? They partner up with Aramark. You know what Aramark does? It's a catering company. They're the ones in charge of the catering of the Camp Nou, the new Camp Nou once it opens. So tell me, how are you going to develop a media business when you know nothing about media and you decide to partner up with a catering company? Does that make any sense to you? Because it doesn't make any sense to me. So it's obviously been mishandled, and that's why it has completely failed, and that's why this restructuring is being announced. And in fact, again, the club itself, the board of directors itself have admitted that this has been an absolute failure. Or the other reason why this has failed, maybe it hasn't been so much the mismanagement, but maybe that this was never supposed to be anything successful, and more it was a financial play to generate the money from the sale of the auctions of Barca Studios or Barca Vision, and that way make the illusion that you are developing a business by selling it to investment partners, but in reality, you're not really selling anything. You're just getting loans from these investors that you plan to pay back, but you'll do it under the guise that you are selling parts of the business as in order to develop it. And that way it would count differently under the financial fair play, right? Because 49% of Barca Vision was sold as an economic lever, and that money counted towards Barcelona financial fair play, which helped Barcelona sign the many players that they signed. So that could be another thing. It could have been just a financial ploy to help Barca's financial fair play by making it seem like they're selling it to business partners, but in reality, there were loans from those business partners that eventually we're going to have to pay back, because it just doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up that you have these business partners pay hundreds of millions to own a portion of the business that hasn't done anything, that hasn't been developed, hasn't generated anything, hasn't generated not only profits or revenue, hasn't generated anything, period. It sounds to me like it's a shell corporation that just exists on paper, but not in reality. I don't know. That's my hypothesis. Like I said, Barca Vision hasn't done anything. It's been a total failure. It has been reabsorbed. whether it was because it was mismanaged or whether it was because it really is just a shell corporation. I don't know. But now Barcelona announcing the absorption of Barca Vision into Barca Media. And we'll see if something comes out of this. But that's the news. You tell me what you think. And let's get back to the chat section. Starting with Java the Hut. Neymar should not return to Barca. It would be another Ronaldinho situation. I don't know what you mean by that. Because when Ronaldinho arrived, he actually changed the course of history of Barcelona. He helped us win our first Champions League in many, many years. I think in 10 years or something like that. He was a total success. Eventually, he started partying and then it all ended in hell. I don't know if that's what you mean as far as the partying, or I'm not sure exactly what you mean. If you want to clarify, that'd be amazing. Let me know in the comment section. And Anthony says, Mo, is it possible to sign both Messi and Neymar? A, it's not possible. And B, even if it was possible, there's no way in hell we should want to sign both Messi and Neymar. I think it's time to let the past be the past. It's time to stop living in the past, and it's time to live in the present, because Lionel Messi is 28 years old. He has been in the MLS, 3 years now? Do you think a 38-year-old player is going to be able to go from playing in the MLS to top flight football in Spain? Absolutely not. No matter how good he is. And believe me, it pays me to say this because Messi is the greatest player in the history of football, period. I don't care what anyone says. He is the greatest, period. But even the greatest have limits. And a 38-year-old player who has been playing much, much lower level football for 3 years now is not going to be able to come back and adapt to the intensity, to the speed of Spanish football or European football if he were to play in the Champions League. And for Neymar, same goes for Neymar. Neymar hasn't been at elite level since he was at PSG, let alone now where he was in Saudi and then he got injured and he went through surgeries and he got overweight and he lost the weight. Now he's back in Brazil. So A, it's not possible. Messi wants nothing to do with Barcelona as long as Laporta is the president, and the same Laporta doesn't want anything to do with him. B, it's not possible for Neymar because we can't afford his salary. And again, if it was possible, there was no way in hell we should be trying to do this. Like, what are we trying to do? Are we trying to build a project for the future, or are we trying to build a retirement club or a geriatrics team? You have to choose, because we already have Barca legends, right? We have Barca legends where all the Barca legends play, like Xavi, Iniesta, Ronaldinho, Rivaldo. They all play those friendly matches against Real Madrid. I can't remember what they're called, but they have their own like Barca legend type team. We already have that team. We don't need that in the first team as well by bringing our old Finnish players to the first team. Like, it just makes no sense. I think we need to stop living in the past, and it's time to live in the present, because those chapters are over. Texas Transplant says, Texas Transplant is replying to someone else. He's replying to Eli George, who said, I want Neymar back at Barca as much as I want. Agitated hemorrhoids. Amen, my friend. And Venue says Neymar to Barcelona will be good for our finances. More tickets and more jerseys will. No. Like, if Neymar comes back to Barcelona, maybe it'll give us a boost the first week or two. But as soon as he gets on the field and we see how bad he is now that he's pretty much finished, it's not going to matter. People don't just go to the stadium to watch a player just because he's that player. People want to go to the stadium or watch that player do the things that he does. People used to go to the stadium because they wanted to see Messi do the magic that he did on the field, not because his name is Messi and that's it. Oh, his name is Messi, we're going to go see him. No, his name is Messi and he does magical things on the field, so we want to go see him. If Neymar comes to the club, maybe he'll sell a few jerseys the first week or two. As soon as he gets on the field and doesn't produce anything because he's finished, people are not going to be going to the stadium to watch a Finnish player not produce anything. Not to mention that Flick would probably have him sitting on the bench that entire time. So again, people are not going to go to the stadium to watch Neymar sitting on the bench. So let's stop with the foolishness that somehow Neymar is going to boost our revenue. This is FC Barcelona, okay? This is not a charity club. This is not a Saudi club or an MLS club or a Japanese club that needs to bring retired Finnish players, so bring marketing attention to us. This is FC fucking Barcelona. This is one of the biggest clubs in the world. We don't need retired players to bring us marketing. We are a marketing machine. We are our own brand, a global brand that people from all around the world want to watch. Let's stop with the foolishness that we need some fucking Finnish player to bring attention to the club like we're some kind of small club fucking in Saudi Arabia or in Indonesia or whatever. This is FC Barcelona. Let's have some respect for ourselves and stop saying these kind of things. Anyways, let's get back to the news because we do have to talk about Vitor Roque, since we were mentioning Brazilian players, because, ladies and gentlemen, it's official. The saga is official. A saga that's dragged on for 2 months. And I say 2 months because Palmeiras first approached Vitor Roque back in the winter transfer market. But of course, Vitor Roque said, no, thank you. I don't want to go back to Brazil. It will be taking a step back. So he completely closed the door on any possibility joining Palmeiras. But of course, things change. Vitor Roque lost his starting position to Bacambu. Real Betis signed Cucho Hernandez during the winter transfer market. Next thing you know, Vitor Roque became third option center forward for Real Betis. So seeing that he wasn't going to get any minutes, and Real Betis definitely wasn't going to get any minutes at Barcelona, he decided to return to Brazil, join Palmeiras. He agreed to the contract with Palmeiras. Palmeiras agreed to the contract with Barcelona. Barcelona needed to negotiate with Real Betis. They reached an agreement which was ceding 30% of the rights of Abde back to the Real Betis because Real Betis owned 50% of Abde. Barcelona owned the other 50%. Now Barcelona only owns 20%, with Real Betis owning 80% of Abde. So everybody got on board. La Liga tried to block it by saying Vitor Roque needed to go back to Barcelona, get re-registered, and then being sold. With the winter transfer market, that wasn't possible. So, of course, Barcelona had to go to FIFA and UEFA, which they both gave the green light to Barcelona. But after a lot of back and forth, after 2 long months, Vitor Roque has officially joined Palmeiras. This has been officially announced by Palmeiras through their social media accounts. It has been officially announced by the player himself. He posted videos talking about how excited he is to join Palmeiras. And it was announced also by Real Betis through their social media accounts. So this is 100% official. It's done. Vitor Roque passed medical exams in Sevilla yesterday, flew to Brazil. He's in Brazil. It's over. Barcelona are going to get 25.5 million euros fixed and 5 million euros in variables for Vitor Roque. And of course, again, 30% of the rights of Abde being given to Real Betis as compensation since they have lost the player. And with the winter transfer market being closed, they're not going to be able to replace that player. Now, what are the 5 million euros in variables and how can Barcelona get them? Barcelona can get 2 million euros if Vitor Roque finishes top 3 in the upcoming Club World Cup. Palmeiras are going to be participating in the Club World Cup. Of course, the first edition of this Club World Cup where there will be, is it 32 or 36 clubs from all around the world participating. Starts with group stages and then ends up in the knockout stages, kind of like the regular World Cup. And if he finishes top 3 in that Club World Cup, Barcelona would get 2 million. My hunch is we're not going to get a penny out of that because this Club World Cup you're having, it's going to be Roque with Palmeiras going against, top European players with their European clubs. Top 3. I mean, we're talking about a player that couldn't even make it in Real Betis. I don't see him finishing top 3 in the Club World Cup. So we could kiss those 2 million euros goodbye. Another 2 million euros if he wins the Ballon d'Or. And there's no way in hell Vitor Roque is going to win 2 million, win the Ballon d'Or with Palmeiras. So I guess we could kiss those 2 million euros goodbye. And then 1 million euro if he wins an international competition with Palmeiras. For example, Libertadores, which is the equivalent of the Champions League, but in South America. That one is more plausible because Palmeiras is building a project that they're hoping is going to be a winning project. So that one is possible. The other 4 million, I just don't see it happening. So if I had to put money on it, Barcelona going to end up making 26.5 million euros, 25.5 fixed, and 1 million in variables for a total of 26.5. That seems more possible. Of course, that still means that we will be out 3.5 million euros because we signed them for 30. And if we only get 26.5, that means we lost 3.5. Not to mention the money that we lost, of course, on his salary that we had to pay when he was at Barcelona. I think we had to pay a portion of it when he was at Real Betis too. So all in all, it's not the greatest operation, but hey, we got a failed signing off our books. We got 25.5 million euros for it. So I think it's a win. It's not a huge win, but it's a win. And given our history in transfers, I'll take this win any day of the week. But I still think we are owed an explanation. We are owed an explanation on how so many scouts and Deco could get this signing so wrong, because this is not a case of a player that came to the club and spent months and blah 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 and then eventually no, this is a player that as soon as he arrived, within 5 minutes Xabi was like, this guy sucks. If it took Xabi that short amount of a time to figure out that this player sucked, that means he really really sucked, and this is something that the scouts should have caught. And then it took Flick even less time to figure out that he sucked, which again, it means how the hell did the scouts miss this? And finally he went to Betis, a mid-table team, and he failed there too. So this is not a player who came to an elite club, failed there, but then moved to a smaller club and flourished. And you're like, okay, maybe the pressure was too much. No, he even failed at a mid-table team, which again, what the hell went wrong? Who was the scout who was making these reports saying that Vitor Roque was the next big thing, that he was the next Suarez, but he was Brazilian? We need explanations. We need explanations because, okay, yeah, we got lucky that Palmeiras wanted him and they paid 25.5 million euros for him. But luck is not going to be around all the time, because we could have easily been stuck with him until 2031, which is how long his contract was. And then what? Paying a salary for a player that you don't need, going from loan to loan to loan, that would have been a huge disaster. And it kind of still is, because we're still out 4.5 million or 3.5 million euros. Yeah, we still own 20% of his rights. So if Palmeiras end up selling him, maybe we can make some money, but we shouldn't be getting to this point. We should be much better about our signings, where we don't have to rely on some club, random club, coming and taking the player away because he failed miserably at your club. But anyways, Vitor Roque in Brazil, and it's over. And that's great news, because today was the last day of the transfer market in Brazil. If it hadn't been completed today, of course, Barcelona would have had to wait until the summer. And who knows if Palmeiras would have wanted him in the summer. All right, let's get back to the chat section, and then we are going to talk about the right back that Deco wants. Kelly says, Mo, do you think Hansi Flick should restrict certain players like Lamine, Pedri, Olmo, Kouassi, Balde from the national team during the upcoming international break? He can't. That's a pretty simple answer. He can't do that. The only time a club can restrict players from joining the national team is for friendlies. And that's why UEFA came up with the brilliant idea of the Nations League, because instead of the Nations League before, it used to be friendly matches, which the clubs could say no to. But now by making those friendly matches into an official trophy, a Nations League, now the clubs can't. So no, he can't restrict them. I mean, the only way that you can restrict players from going to the national team is by faking injuries or faking that they're sick. But legally speaking, they can't, like doing it the right way. Now, the player could refuse of saying, I don't want to go to my national squad. But of course, by doing that, now you're risking that your national team says, okay, then we're never calling you back again. And, you know, you're going to miss out playing Euros, World Cup, etc., etc. So that's the answer. Ross, my man Ross says, hey, Mo, glad to catch you live. Do you think Barca should talk to Salah secretly? I mean, he'll be free. I'm sure he would love to wear the number 10. The guy has got at least 3 years left in him at prime. Thoughts? Mo Salah has got to renew with Liverpool. They're already in negotiations. I don't see them letting him go. Even if they renew him for another season, it looks like he's going to renew. Would I bring him to Barcelona for free? Sure, maybe on a 1-year a 1-1 contract, like a 1-year contract with an option to add one more, but only if it's free. I wouldn't pay money, because if Liverpool renew him and decide to put him back on the market, they're going to want an arm and a leg, and I wouldn't pay arm and a leg for a 33-year-old, even though he's really good, because you're never going to recoup that money. You're going to lose that money immediately, right? Because it's kind of like buying a car. You buy a car, as soon as you drive it off the dealership, it already decreased in value. Same thing with a player who's past his prime. If you pay a lot of money, as soon as it's already a depreciating asset, right? Because once players get past 27, 28 years old, their value starts to tank. So I wouldn't put big money into a player whose value is already tanking. So for free, sure, absolutely, hell yeah. But is it going to happen? No, Liverpool not going to let him go for free. They're going to renew him to keep him, especially with the season that he's having. And even if they decide not to keep him, they'll probably renew him just so they can sell him. Mike Valencia says Laporta should take lessons from Trump's transparency. Just look at what happened today. I don't like to discuss politics on this channel, so we'll move on. King Ramsey says, hi, Mo. How do you feel about Araujo playing as a right back to rotate with Kunde? He looks gassed up. I think we will still have the problem with Araujo is not whether he can play in the right back or not. We've seen that he can, like he has played a few times in order to stop Vinicius. The problem is going to be the same problem as whether Araujo is playing as a center back or as a right back, which is the high line. Araujo is not used to playing a high line. His timing is completely off, especially with the offside trap. And, with the offside trap, you have to be 100% on top of your game. One fraction of a second you're late and you're caught off guard and then you're screwed. So that's the problem with Araujo playing as a right back, is the same problem as him playing as a center back. Until he can adjust to Flick's system, it's a liability having Araujo in the lineup, regardless of what position you're going to put him in, right? All right, let's get back to the news. And then we will keep doing comments, but let's talk about the fullback that Deco wants to sign, and it's someone we talked about in a previous video, which is Andrei Ratiu, the 26-year-old Romanian right back who currently plays at Rayo Vallecano. He has been having a spectacular season, so much so he's been attracting the attention of many European clubs, including FC Barcelona, who, of course, as you know, Deco wants to not only sign a left winger, but he also wants to reinforce the fullback positions, both right and left, because he considers that right now there's no one to compete with Kunde or Balde without bringing down the level of the team. There's Hector Fort, who shows a lot of promise, but Barcelona still think that he is not ready yet. He still needs more time to grow and develop. As far as on the left, we have Gerard Martin, but he's not really competition for Balde. Plus, he's more of a defensive profile. So he's someone good to have on the bench for maybe the final 10 minutes if you want to switch things up and get a little bit more defensive lineup. But it's not someone that you can start in the place of Alejandro Balde while Balde is resting or while Balde is rotating or, God forbid, injured or suspended, right? So right now, there are no players that can compete with Kunde and Balde. So, of course, Deco wants to reinforce both fullback positions. We've talked about a lot of options for the right back position, including Banderson, and it looks like Andrei Ratiu is another player that Deco really, really likes. He has a contract with Rayo Vallecano until 2028, and it's even reported that Barcelona have already reached out to Rayo Vallecano to see if they can, what's the situation, can they negotiate, what's the asking price. And while Rayo Vallecano being Rayo Vallecano, they always have the same exact answer to every club that approaches them for one of their players. We will not negotiate. You want the player, you pay his release clause. If not, then you can't have him. And Ratiu's release clause is worth 25 million euros, which not sure whether Barcelona are going to want to pay that much for Ratiu, but that's the news. Ratiu, a player that Deco really, really likes for the right back position, which Rayo Vallecano are not going to negotiate for. You either pay his release clause or he stays put at his current club. Let me know in the chat section or in the comment section if you're done, if you're watching this when it ends, on whether you would like to see Andrei Ratiu at Barcelona or not. All right, let's see. Riley says, was watching Barca Media. I think someday you should collab, share thoughts, and talk a bit about our current Barca, but what to do really with the current playing style when winning with more than two. It's pretty easy. If you know how to do something, you got to keep doing it. Simple as that. Just because you lose a match, you can't just all of a sudden want to throw it all out. You cannot be jack of all trades. You have to be master of one. And what Flick and what the players are doing is Flick's style. That's what he knows how to do. That's what the players are being taught how to do. So that's what you have to keep focused on, honing, perfecting, improving, and keep employing it. If you want to use all of a sudden, oh, okay, we're winning, let's park the bus. The players don't know how to park the bus. Flick doesn't know how to park the bus. So guess what's going to happen? We're going to get hammered. And we're going to be scored, instead of 2 goals, we're going to be scored on 5 goals because we're doing something that we don't know how to do. And no, we shouldn't learn how to do it, because if you divide your attention and your effort on all different things, you're not going to master any of them. You're going to half-ass all of them. So you either focus all your energy on one thing and you master that thing, or you divide your attention amongst different things and you half-ass all of them. I rather we master one thing than half-ass a bunch of things. So no, Flick should not change his style of play. If that's what he knows how to do, that's what he knows how to do. Instead of asking him to change it, we should ask him to perfect it, because this system has given us a lot. So why would you want to get rid of it? This thanks to the system, we won the Spanish Super Cup by thrashing Madrid despite being a man down. Thanks to the system, we're in the semifinals of the Copa del Rey. Thanks to the system, we're in the knockout stages of the Champions League, having qualified as second best team in all of Europe, the highest scoring team in all of Europe. Thanks to the system, we're first in La Liga. Again, highest scoring team in La Liga. So my question again is, why would you want to change a system that has given us so much despite how new it is? You really want to scratch all that and start learning a whole new system and start all over again? That doesn't make sense to me. When Pep Guardiola was in Barcelona and when he had the best Barca in history, he lost matches too. He dropped points too. Should we go back in time and say, hey, Guardiola, stop doing tiki-taka? You should start parking the bus more often. No, that would be a very foolish thing to say to him. Same thing now. It'd be a very foolish thing to say to Hansi Flick, you need to change your style. No, we don't need to change the style. We need to keep improving on it so things that happen against Atletico don't happen again. Texas Transplant says, when the talk goes beyond the first team, my only care is to see Barcelona yank the license for the stadium from Konami and the garbage eFootball game and sell it back to EA Sports. It's been 10 years. Yeah, amen to that. Java the Hutt says, I mean, with partying, he would be a bad influence. I mean, he's always been a bad influence since he left Barca, I think. And then coming back, not only is that we would have to worry about that influence, we would have to worry about that he's a finished player. Like, as much as people have a hard time admitting that, the best days of Neymar are in the past. Like, it's over. He's not going to be the same Neymar that played with Messi and Suarez. The same thing is not going to be the same Messi if he comes back. Like, people age. You cannot fight time. People age. Players age. They get slower. They get their reactions slowed down. Everything slowed down. And that's it. We just got to accept it, you know? And it's, yeah, sure, it would be amazing to relive the MSN, Neymar, Messi, and Suarez, but they're all old. They're all finished. Like, it's in the past. Xavi and Iniesta were the two greatest midfielders, not only in the history of Barcelona, but two of the greatest midfielders in the history of football. Does that mean we should bring them back from retirement? No, those times are over. We enjoyed them. It was an amazing time. It's over. Same thing with Neymar. Same thing with Messi. It's over. We should be looking towards the future, not the past. You cannot relive the past. And that doesn't just go to football. That's just solid advice for life, period. You cannot relive the past. If you become too busy reliving the past, you're going to forget to enjoy the present, and it's going to be detrimental to your future. Texas Transplant says, the only capacity I would like to see Messi return is an attacking / forwards coach. That'd be interesting to see. But, I mean, the coaching gift is completely different from a player's, the skills it takes to be a player. So I don't know if Messi would be a great coach. If he is, that would be amazing. Can you imagine him, winning everything there is to win at Barcelona as a player and then coming back as a coach and winning everything there is to win? But I don't know. I mean, look what happened with Xavi, right? He was an amazing player as a coach. He just didn't cut it. Koeman, amazing player as a coach, didn't cut it. And we've also had coaches like Pep, the greatest coach in history, mediocre player. Flick, great coach, mediocre player, right? So it doesn't always translate to you are a great player. It means you're going to be a great coach, or a bad player, a bad coach. So I don't know, but it would be amazing if Messi does end up being a great coach. And can you imagine him coming back to Barca and winning things with Barca as a coach? I think that would be really cool. And Klaus says, I agree with you, Mo. Let's stop looking at the past and embrace a bright future. Amen, my brother. Amen. All right, let's get back to the news. We'll do the last bit of news and then we'll do more comments. But let's talk about Neymar, since we have been talking about him this whole time through the chat section. But once again, Neymar is being linked with Barcelona. And I think I said this jokingly before, but it's starting to look like it's not a joke, like it's gonna be the reality. that as long as Neymar is alive, he's gonna be linked with Barcelona. He's gonna be 89 years old, and people are gonna be asking him like, "Hey, are you going back to Barca?" And there's gonna be reporters saying, "Oh, Barcelona talking to Neymar for a possible return." It's like, guys, he's 89 years old. What the hell are you talking about? But once again, Neymar has been linked with the club. This time, David Ornstein claiming that Neymar still wants to go back to Barcelona, and then going a step further of stated that Barcelona have in fact initiated talks with the player to bringing him back. And this story, of course, comes on the back of the story by Vitor Navarro, who said that Neymar's plan was to go back to Santos to, regain his form, impress Barca, and be able to come back to Barca in the summer. Now, the same thing I said back when Vitor Navarro made that story, I'll tell you the same thing that now that David Ornstein is saying this, Neymar is not coming to Barcelona. Barcelona have zero intention of bringing Neymar back. Deco has zero intention of including Neymar on his squad. And Neymar's father, a few days ago, I think it was last week, I made a video about it, actually denied the story that Neymar had gone back to Santos just to regain his form. According to Neymar's father, Neymar Sr., Neymar is there to help Santos regain its glory days, and they're not looking to go anywhere. So there is no truth. I hate to keep bringing this story up, but I keep seeing this story pop up, and every time it pops up, people fall for it, and they start talking about Neymar coming back. So this is why I bring it. It's not a clickbait. It's not to get people to see the video. It's simply to tell people, don't listen to these stories. There's no intention of bringing Neymar back. And thank God there's no intention to bring in Neymar back, because as I've said a million times all through this podcast, it's a finished player. He's in the past. Let's move on. Let's stop trying to relive our past. All right, that is all the stories or all the news stories for today. Let's do more comments, and then we will end the podcast. But Bazuki Man says Barca shouldn't waste money on Neymar. They need to be serious about the left forward position. I agree. And don't worry, they're not planning to waste any money on him. Orlan says, hey, Mo, I'm watching you from Minnesota. We will win Sunday. All right. Stay warm, my friend. And yes, we will win Monday. We're playing against Real Sociedad. They have a lot of players who will be out. I think they have something like 6 injuries and 2 suspended players, some crazy thing. Like half of their starting squad is missing. So hopefully Barcelona don't blow it like they did the first half of the season, and we come out focused and ready to get those 3 points. Because remember, we're in first place, but we're tied with Real Madrid. So any point that we drop, we lose the first spot, unless, of course, Madrid also drops points. But, we shouldn't be waiting for Madrid to drop points. We should be focused on what we do, because La Liga right now is in our hands. If we win every match from here until the end of the season, that would include beating Madrid and Atletico Madrid, we're champions. And we don't have to be sitting there, oh, well, if Madrid ties here and loses that, and, if both teams, lose points, and if Atletico Madrid does this, and if the moon is half full and Atletico plays while Saturn is aligned with Jupiter, like, we depend on ourselves. Let's keep it that way by not dropping points. John Williams says, hey, Mo, how are you doing? Have you imagined Flick playing Gerard Martin in the 70th minute, solidify our defense, and have Balde play attacking role on the left wing in the game? He did it once, and that's exactly what I said in the post-match live analysis. I think that's exactly what Flick should have done. We were up 4-2, but the last 20 minutes were chaotic because El Cholo Simeone made substitutions that he always makes at the end of this game when he's drawing or losing. Sorloth and Angel Correa. Those 2 players have the most goals in La Liga coming off the bench. Those 2 tied, I think 7 goals each. Third place is Ferran with 6. But Sorloth and Angel Correa are the players with the most goals in La Liga coming off the bench. And when I saw them come in, I texted my friend. I said, we have to be careful, because Sorloth, that's what he does. He comes in and he scores a goal. He's been doing it all La Liga season. Same with Angel Correa. So the moment Flick saw that happen, he should have immediately put more control in the match. Put in Casado to hold the midfield. Put in Gerard Martin to help the defensive line. Don't stop attacking. Keep attacking. Your best defense is your offense. But give more control to the match. By having Casado hold the midfield, slowing things down, that allows you to attack better. And if you're attacking better, you're not losing the ball and you're not leaving yourself exposed. Plus, by attacking, you're having the ball. If you have the ball, that your opponent doesn't have the ball, right? And that's why I say Barcelona's best defense is always offense. But in order to have a good offense, you also needed to put more control in the midfield. And that meant Casado, maybe Gerard Martin in the back line. So we can be better organized from the back, so we can have better buildups from the back. And that way, if we did lose the ball, we can immediately regain it and maintain possession of the ball. In Atletico Madrid, without the ball, you can't score, right? But big mistakes by Hansi Flick. Hopefully he'll learn from it, and hopefully we'll do better next time against Atletico Madrid. Texas Transplant with the generous donation, as always. Thank you, my friend, so much for supporting this channel. But says, shit, nearly forgot to show my love to the channel and your epic work, my brother. Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. You're always supporting this channel, always showing love to this channel, and I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. So thank you so much for your generosity and for always supporting my work. Thank you. Romain says, I wish we had gotten Estebao William to be back up to Lamine. Happy we finally fixed this mistake. Good luck to you, Roque. Amen. Amen. Thank God we were able to get rid of him. American God says, maybe if he shines in Brazil, then any European club will go for him. By 20%, we can get more to cover the losses. Hopefully, that will be the ideal situation. He goes back to Palmeiras, finds his form again, starts killing it, and then some other European team comes and pays some ridiculous amount, like 60 million, and then we can get 12 of that, because that's 20%. And then, it ends up being, 48.5 million, and that would be amazing. Hopefully. Van Lee says, Mo, as someone who compiles Barca news and aggregations daily, is news more credible when sources are outside of Spain, like with this Neymar news, Orsin Athletic, and Ben Jacobs? I mean, yeah, it depends. It depends, right? It depends who's making the news. Like, for example, if this would be coming from, oh my God, what's his name? I'm blanking on his name. Is it Giampiera? I forgot his name. I'm completely blanking on his name. But he specializes in the Brazilian market, right? Joaquim Piera. There we go. He specializes in the Brazilian market. So if news comes from him about something about Brazil, you're like, okay, that's most likely true, because it's coming. He's talking about a Brazilian player, and he covers the Brazilian market, and he knows what he's talking about the Brazilian market, right? If it's about a player in Catalonia, and it comes from, I don't know, someone like Gerard Romero or something, you're like, okay, yeah, most likely it's true because they're specialists, right? So there's certain reporters that cover certain regions, and they have their contacts in those regions. So most of the time their news is accurate. So it just depends. It depends who are we talking about, what region are we talking about, what reporter. Let's see. Ross says, Mo, you are so informative. Thanks, Sahbi. Also, thanks for scarring politics away. Politics divides. You are here to get us united. Thank you, my friend. Yes, I agree with you. This is not a political channel. This is an FC Barcelona channel. We are here to talk about Barca. Providencia Rodriguez says, Ney isn't finished. That's a bad take because you haven't seen him play at Santos. Exactly, at Santos. Look at what Messi's doing in the MLS. Does that mean he's going to be able to come and do that in the Champions League? Look at what Penaldo's doing in Camel League. Does that mean he's going to be able to come and do that at, Real Madrid in the Champions League? No. There's levels to this. Just because you are killing it at a certain level doesn't mean you're going to be able to replicate that at a much, much higher level. Because with all due respect to the Brazilian league, don't get me wrong, it's an exciting league. Sometimes I watch the matches. Not so much lately. I used to watch more Brazilian league matches before, but it's not the same level as Spanish football or German football or English football. It's just not. So just because you're doing something at a lower level doesn't mean you're going to be able to replicate that at a much higher level. Look at Vitor Roque. He was killing it at Paranaense. Comes to Barcelona, fails. Goes to Real Betis, fails. And who knows? He might go back and keep killing it again. Does that mean we should resign him? No, we already saw that he cannot do what he knows how to do at a higher level. There's levels to this. That's why there's players who spend their whole time at bottom table teams, because that's as good as they can get. As good they cannot supersede that. So again, he's killing it at Santos. Doesn't mean he's gonna be able to replicate that now at elite football, because he's been out of an elite level for a while, since he was at PSG, like his last maybe season. And then Saudi didn't do anything. So 20 says Lewandowski's damn near 40 and has more goals than Mbappe. He's actually 36, but yeah, he does have more goals than Mbappe, which is pretty embarrassing, because when Madrid announced they were signing Mbappe, Madridistas were telling us, including Madrid media, they were telling us that La Liga was over. Like, La Liga hadn't started, and they had already won it. It was like July, and Madrid had already won La Liga because supposedly Neymar was just going to come and just destroy everybody. He's going to have 100 goals and 150 assists and 300 tackles and 500 dribbles, and it was going to be over. You can't even beat a 36-year-old. JK says, hey, Mo, La Liga and Tebas are shameless, always trying so hard to oppose every move that Barca is making without any strong. They have been doing this forever and have failed. Shame on them. Yeah, I agree to a certain point, but a lot of the things that we have also suffered from have been self-inflicted wounds. So it's not everything we can blame on La Liga. There's a lot of things that we've done wrong. So, yeah. Amirul says Barca scouting team should look at Robinson Jr., one of the upcoming talent in Brazil. And who gives the AFCK says, did anyone wonder how good Isaac would be with Rafa, Lamine, Pedri, Olmo behind him, and he can actually dribble, do something with the ball, and he's not ghosting like Lewa for past 3 months. I don't think Lewa has been ghosting for 3 months. He's still been scoring. But point aside, I think it would be amazing to have Isaac on a team. I think I agree. Him with Dani Olmo behind him, with Rafinha on his left, with Lamine on his right. I think that would be one hell of an attack in front. But unfortunately, it's just not going to happen. Barca Soldier says Neymar coming back to Barca would be a bad idea. Some of you so-called Barca fans need to grow up. Can't believe it's 2025. We're trying to go backwards. I agree. Texas Trapper says it's still rolling on the Camel League comment. And Kyle says Barca shouldn't try to sign Neymar. Hopefully it's fake news. It is fake news. Like I said, as long as Neymar is alive, people are gonna be linking him back to Barca. It's like ever since he left to PSG, what was that? 8 years ago? In every transfer market, winter or summer. Oh, Neymar is coming back. Neymar is coming back. Neymar. It's been 8 years, and they're still telling us that Neymar is coming back. Mr. Mysterio says, hey, Mo, what striker could we afford this summer with our financial stand? We're not looking to sign any strikers this summer, so it doesn't really matter. Because Barcelona have postponed the search for striker until the summer of 2026. And with that, we will end the podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, for your comments, your likes, your subscriptions, and your generous donations. I'm looking at you, Texas Transplant. I will be uploading another video after this, so stay tuned to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I will see you in the next video. And as always, Visca Barça.